The Sandbaggers clearly are not, in my view, ideal as a media alliance. They did fail to warn regarding Gail Burstyn. They let her go. They tortured me and forced me to apologize for something that never happened. They did protect access to my views to some extent. So that is good because it is a minority dissent that no one else has ever documented. And without those efforts, we wouldn't understand what it is that the Sandbaggers did and didn't do. An imperfect alliance, but better than the totalitarian media wave of legacy media, with which they have some things in common, and whom should know better than to continue fabricating just because it's consistent and it seems to be an entitlement because of the self-regard and self-excitement of people who control and manipulate media. Now, civilian diplomacy, citizen diplomacy, and international social media is slightly different of an idea. And it may turn out to be a disappointment, and it may not be. There, the Sandbaggers have a very important role. They're impressive in their consistent tone of morality as a lead concept of citizen viewpoint. They're not power mongers. They believe in common decency. When public access TV went on, we all hoped that that sort of citizen diplomacy would develop in our domestic affairs. We were, to some extent, disappointed when backwater riffraff made waves and nativism came to the forefront and less mentionable tendencies. But the point about citizen diplomacy, the opening of doors to other societies based on affinity, a desire for truth and commonwealth and peace. I don't believe it's a fool's errand. I think that what happened in Gaza shows that citizens can prevail in their views in terms of attenuating our society to its obligations to understand what is happening. At the same time, it was a terrible, terrible and dismaying disappointment. But in truth, it's necessary. And it has to be sufficient. Because some people are like Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. Oh, I know that not everybody wants to jump up and down about these people, but they were similar in that they couldn't bring themselves, even if it was necessary, a necessary evil, to engage in violence towards someone else. They couldn't bring themselves to demean themselves. They both said that and felt that way. It's too much to ask me to demean myself, to behave in a barbarous way, especially for the sadistic glee of just driving somebody over the edge, gaslighting them. It's too much to ask of me. I have too much dignity. Some people are that way. It reminds me of the relationship that existed that I have found over the years of thoughtful reading and contemplation of the magnificent Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. The relationship that existed between Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White, and Pippin Peregrine Took. Pippin, the halfling, the hobbit. The relationship between Gandalf and Pippin was the most interesting to me of all the relationships that existed in Tolkien masterpiece. And two particular anecdotes come to mind again and again. One of them is Gandalf speaking at the Council of Elrond. And Elrond said if they knew the dangers they faced, they would not dare. Gandalf said, yes, but they would wish they dared. Another moment was when at the gates of Doom in Mordor, when Peregrine Took gasped at the garments. I don't remember whether it included the mithril, but the garments of Frodo, and he said, there is no hope. Gandalf said, then we must do without hope. Some people wish they dared they could do without hope. We must wish we dared to open the doors to understanding one another. Sometimes citizens, diplomats, perhaps can in the future, as understanding our sustainable development goals becomes more folklorish and part of our heritage of mutual trust. Maybe we can convince those warlords among us to wish they dared allow us to have our peace. For whatever reason, there are people around the world who continue to believe that we shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.